So I've been able to get hold of the iPhone 8 Plus, and I wanted to give you a quick hands-on and impressions of how this phone works for this year. What are the things that Apple have brought to the table to the iPhone 8 Plus, how it differs, and what are the key things that make it different to this year. And again, I'm your host Ben on the Lover of Tech channel, and this is my quick hands-on and impressions with the iPhone 8 Plus. First thing you're going to notice is the design of the handset, which hasn't really changed that much, and many were disappointed, especially when looking at the phone from the front. This is the same tried and tested design that we've seen since the iPhone 6 Plus. The only refinement that you're really seeing to it is at the back, where Apple have now thrown it to have glass. This is kind of like a throwback to the iPhone 4 and 4S, but this is not just for looks and aesthetics reasons, but you now have the introduction of wireless charging, which is the best material to use for glass for it to work. And it's finally something that Apple have done, and they've implemented the Qi wireless standard, which is great for other wireless devices that were around, and also for future things that Apple are going to be bringing out, which is their AirPower. And we're going to see how that looks and works. But wireless charging is now being introduced, and that's the main thing you're going to see in terms of the overall design. What I have here that I'm using is the new gold finish, which really looks nice and classy. And the glass, I'd personally say, when you're holding it, gives you a much more classy and nicer feel in the hand. But with this 5.5-inch phone at this size, with all the big bezels that it still has, it doesn't really feel any different to what we've seen before. So that's pretty much the design. You can easily call this the iPhone 7S, as we predicted it to be, but this is the iPhone 8, just a tried and tested refined design that we saw from before. Next is the performance and the specifications. Apple never hold back when it comes to their in-house performance, specification and design and optimization to iOS. What you're looking at is the new A11 Bionic chip, 6-core based design, and Apple's new custom inbuilt GPU for their processors, which is really good. They've moved away from Imagination Tech, and this is something that they were looking to do for a long time, and they've implemented it into their new SoC. You have confirmed 3GB of LPDDR4 RAM, and they confirmed 2675 mAh battery capacity, which has actually been reduced from before. So in full testing, we're just gonna have to see if Apple's claim for 2 hours longer battery is really the case, because of all the internals that have now been refined and made more efficient. But these are the internal specifications, and this really touts down to how the phone's going to perform, and also all the new things that are in there, like the new image signal processor, which Apple was saying that we're going to give you much better autofocus, image processing, and new recording modes, which we're going to go on to next, which is the camera. The camera specifications for the new iPhone 8 Plus should feel very familiar to last year. What you're looking at is a dual 12 megapixel sensor, one telephoto lens, one main camera, the main camera having an f1.8 lens, and the telephoto having an f2.8 lens, which sounds the same as before. Quad LED flash, the ×2 having the telephoto lens there, so you have lossless zoom, and also deeper pixels. That's one of the things that were touted on stage about having deeper pixels. Did some investigation. It's all to do with new color information and pixel depth, without getting into too much detail. But these new iPhones, especially with the internal specification of the new ISP in the A11 Bionic chip, do have new recording modes. So the video recording modes are absolutely ridiculous. It's one of the first phones on the market to do 4K 60 frames unlimited recording to storage, with no limitation of recording limit, as well as slow motion mode at 1080p 240 frames a second. You also have new picture modes, which I got to try right now, and as you're going to see here, this is the new portrait lighting mode. So the portrait lighting mode allows you to use depth mapping and the new image processor internally on the phone to give you different studio lighting and background depth of field bokeh effects on there. And actually what I was seeing when using it is, after taking a picture, you can actually change the studio lighting effects after the fact for portrait mode, which gives you much more control over how you would want your images to look, especially in portrait. Seems to be working okay. I'd say one of them really didn't process the information properly, but overall, just by first impressions, it's looking not too bad. But we'll have to put it through more of the tests to see how it looks like, and also how it performs overall on a consistent basis when you want to do your portrait lighting modes. So this is the iPhone 8 Plus sized up against the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, And the design, you can really see the difference where not much has really changed, especially from the front. And it's really starting to feel like this is kind of like a stale design. But again, this is feeling more like an S model phone as you use it. The display technology is slightly been refined, but it's not too bad. I mean, my initial hands-on with this phone is it really feels familiar. I do really like the new shooting modes. I go crazy for them because I think these shooting modes for video on a smartphone has really changed the game and gives you as the user much more control to have different shooting options that you might actually value as you're using as you go. Initially, this is just my hands-on with the product to see how it feels and looks like. This is by no means a full review. I will be getting my full review handset to be able to use it and put it through its paces so you guys can see how it really performs. But this kind of feels like familiar territories, which for some people might not necessarily be a bad thing. Touch ID is still there if you're familiar with having to use it. Reachability features are still there if you're still happy to still use what you're familiar with. And also that familiar design and look to what iPhones are is there. Some people, with the shadow of the iPhone 10 or the iPhone X that's around the corner, might not be too keen on having to get the 8 Plus or the iPhone 8. I personally think if you're going to get these phones because you're not too ready for the absolutely new design, not having any Touch ID or the home button at all, the 8 Plus is the one to go for. I just don't like the fact that the normal iPhone 8 doesn't have a dual camera lens and you're missing out on key features and still having a 750p display. I think the 8 Plus is the one to go. Hope you enjoyed it. This was my initial hands-on and impressions with the iPhone 8 Plus. I am still looking to get my own to make sure I give you full coverage and testing on how the phone performs. Overall, this is a tried and tested formula. For most people, they're not going to be too excited because they've seen the iPhone 10 and that is after 10 years the first truly new iPhone. But for those and some, cost-wise and also having something familiar that's been refined and improved, they might be happy with the iPhone 8. I'll definitely say go for the Plus because of the dual camera lens. You want some versatility, which is always good when you need it to, and also the bigger battery, the better display, and all the things that come with it. I'm overall excited with this phone. I'm not too over the moon by it, but I do say that the things about it that I care about, especially the camera and the video shooting modes, are crazy to go over. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. I can't wait to get hands-on with this product fully, get a review in for you guys, get some comparisons against phones like the S8 Plus and the Note 8 so you can see really how they perform and stack up against each other. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, hit that notification bell so you're part of the notification squad so you can see all the new content that is posted on the Lover of Tech channel. I'm your host Ben on the Lover of Tech channel, signing out, and I will see you next time.